If you don't fight for what you want, or if you don't listen to what you're being told, you're gonna find yourself knocked out before you know it.
Talk to me.
Tommy gonna throw an old school H-Town cookout. Hear me now.
What up, y'all? I'm Christopher Markland. Welcome to my review/analysis of episode 8 of season 3, Ready to Love. I really liked this episode. It featured a cookout being hosted by Nephew Tommy, but what I liked was how they dug into certain things that they kind of touched on in previous episodes, but now that the number of people is smaller, they're able to go in and dive deeper. But hey, let's get into it.
You tasted the fruit from what I was eating earlier?
I tested a lot. Calfani is still number one, but a two can play this game.
A game, by definition, has to have a winner and it has to have a loser. And Lord knows we know that Denise is very competitive and she wants to win. That's fine. But you gotta ask yourself, when was the last time that we saw Denise and Kalfani on a date together? I get it, it's reality show editing, so there may be things going on in the background that they don't want us to see. However, it seems like Denise just wants to beat Adriana and Kalfani is the prize of said victory, as opposed to wanting to be with Kalfani and going after him, or at least them being together. And then by definition, Adriana is going to be pushed out the way. But at this point, I think it seems like Denise is more focused on beating Adriana than she is really being with Kalfani.
Look at you being all strong and pushing through and started from the bottom, now we here. You know what I'm saying? I definitely haven't met nobody like you, per se. You definitely got a lot more to you that meets the eye.
You all right with me, buddy.
Hey.
You all right with me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. You smell good. What is that? Black woman. Black woman. Oh.
Speaking of game, Anthony lacks that game, that conversation, that mouthpiece. And we've seen it with a couple of the dudes on the show where, they paid the woman a compliment because these are some really, really nice women in different respects, not just on the physical, aspect, but, mentally and spiritually. You see that they have a real good group of women on the show, as do they have a real good group of guys. However, it's more than just paying compliments. It's more than just oh yeah, girl. No, you got to add to it. You have to bring that conversation. You have to, say something that brings more out of them, and then listen to what they have to say. And that's something that I haven't necessarily seen Anthony do.
This is a Pinot Grigio. So first is the look.
The look.
All right.
It looks like wine. Definitely.
All right, now you give it a nose.
Okay. Not
Give it a
blowing
nose.
bubbles though.
No,
Nope.
not heat in there
Just-
either.
okay.
Why is the glass gassing up? All right, close your eyes. Let's go ahead and taste.
It actually tastes a little almost sparkling. I got it right?
No.
A good date is doing something that you enjoy or that you're passionate about, and you basically are bringing that other person along so that they can get a glimpse into your life, into the things that that you enjoy. And that's what we saw right there. Joy, brought Jay into this wine tasting thing, and Jay didn't know anything about it. He just knows the basics, kind of like me. You got white, red, and I don't know what. Y'all let me know in the comment section the different types of wines, because I'm not a wine drinker. But that's the beauty of that date and interaction between Joy and Jay, is that Jay was like, one, he's comfortable enough to, hey, I don't know nothing about it, teach me something. And then she was confident enough or competent enough to teach him something. And in the process, as I said, they learned about each other, and that made that experience, that shared experience between them, that much more enjoyable.
I got a fever.
Ooh, I think I need one on this side too.
You gotta match it up.
Yeah.
Shorty is my medicine. I need her. Gotta get her beside me, and my temperature rising.
You got me on these streets, got me tipsy. Got me
Trying
kissing
to take
folks.
advantage of you?
Trying to take advantage of me.
I might take advantage
I'm about
of
to
you.
clutch my pearls.
On every season of this show, there's always that one couple that just seems to have that spark, that chemistry from day one, and that's definitely Jay and Joy in this season. They've always just had that vibe about them, that real. I mean, Jay's already this mellow dude to begin with, but you can see he's got a personality, which is a plus, you know. And Joy definitely his personality, you know, just bubbling, starting with that, you know, crown on her head all the way down. So I just like them as a couple together. They seem to work.
I wanted some alone time with Edwin. I feel like we probably have a lot in common. I just hadn't had any time to get to know him.
One of the things that intrigued me about you and made me want to just take some time to just talk to you more is like I thought it was really cool. I like that you also worked in the legal system and law enforcement. And then the fact that you like went from the military and transitioned into having your own business in a creative area. Yeah. How did you do it though?
So based on the lead-in that Simone just gave, she knows a lot about Edwin as far as his past and being married, him transitioning in careers. She knows a lot. However, they haven't been on a quote unquote official date. Even in fact, if you look at them where they are now, that's not a date. They're just sitting on the side of the pool engaged in conversation. So we're at week 8 of this particular show. Or at least according to the reality show editing, you know, you never know. They've probably all done it in 2 days, but you just never know. But going off of the premises is where we are now. We're in week 8. However, she hasn't been on a date with him, nor has he pursued a date with her. So we know it's a late push on Simone's part based on some things that happen later on in the show, but it's just kind of telling that they've had these conversations but haven't been on an official quote unquote date.
Meal preparation,
Which is also making people happy.
Yeah, and making them happy. But
who are you raised by?
My mother.
Okay.
So it was just my mother and
Siblings?
and my 2 sisters and my brother that's handicapped.
Where was your dad?
Simone is not wrong for asking the questions because, I mean, the only way you can learn something about somebody, especially if you're on a date, if you will, is either it comes out in conversation and then you can develop the thought as it comes out, or you ask a question in order to elicit that the answer from that individual. However, a date is not an interview. You remember all the way back to the very first episode, Sam did essentially the same thing that Simone is doing here, which is he didn't, you know, gather information in an organic manner through conversation. He interviewed the person, which automatically puts that person on the defensive because now instead of them just, you know, going with the flow, the feel good of the conversation, they're now in work mode essentially because they're answering questions and it puts them on the defensive and nothing good is going to come from that.
Where was your dad? Oh, if you don't mind me asking,
no, I don't mind. I mean, he's still in Houston, but I don't have that relationship with him. My mother was divorced from him, but I grew up just with my siblings and my mom.
Y'all, trauma is real. But before we get into that, let's talk about the fact that Simone actually gave us some insight into her relationship with her father and how some of the things that he said and did when she was coming up, how that affected her and still affects her to this day as an adult. So we kind of get an idea as far as when we hear her, you know, talking about fathers and the effects that they have. She's actually voicing that. So I wouldn't want to say it's projection, but I think that she's hypersensitive to that kind of trauma or emotional trauma when it comes to fathers and their children. Now, with that being said, you cannot, a first date is not an interview session, okay? And if based on what she said earlier, this is essentially their first date. So I get it, you want to learn about that person. I get it that something that they said may have piqued your interest or even been one of your triggers. So you want to dive deeper and get some kind of understanding about that person. But there's a time and a place for everything. And that particular situation right there was not the time.
Simone's questions are making me feel a certain kind of way. It was a slight disappointment. I moved beyond that hurdle and I kept it moving. So the first time
Are you the type of person who doesn't usually ask for help? Let me rephrase that, okay? Do you feel that disappointment that you experienced impacted you as far as not wanting to ask for help because you don't want to put yourself in an experience where you'll feel disappointed again? How do you feel about therapy? Have you ever gone?
I have been.
When you went, did you go for yourself or was it like couples therapy?
It's very interesting what Simone did right there in talking about therapy and bringing up certain things. Joy kind of touched on it when Joy and Edwin were having that interaction. I want to say their first date kind of thing. And Joy, asked Edwin about it. Edwin kind of stuck his toe in there, but he really didn't give a lot of detailed answers. And Joy didn't really push him on that. Well, Simone did just the opposite. She pushed the hell out of him. But if you notice what she did right there, she tried to temper it with a soft touch. You saw where she put her hand on his thigh. I guess more of a reassuring gesture that, hey, I'm not coming at you to be mean or negative. I just really want to get to the bottom of this. I want to really dig deep, or as they like to say on the show, peel back the layers. So that's what she did in that moment. And for my fellas, I really want us to know that therapy is going to be coming up more and more and more. Self-care, learning about yourself, healing yourself of traumas, because Black women are doing the work. A lot of Black women are getting therapy. That's not to say that Black men are not. Let me be clear. But if you're going to start dating, and we talked about generational curses and things like that in a couple episodes back, but the only way to do that is through self-healing, which is therapy. So the only way to really fix certain things is through therapy. So if you're dating and that's an important thing to someone, they're going to ask you about, have you been to therapy? Have you started the healing process of the things in your past? Because once again, if you do not get healed of your past, your present and your future will forever be dictated by the trauma that you went through. So you've got to get the help, and then you've got to be open to someone asking you about it and those tough conversations that come from it.
Simone kept pressing. I think that was a part of her having her lawyer hat on, which, it rubbed me the wrong way.
The lawyer Simone, dating Simone, I have to ask, and I if it makes you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I'm still gonna ask.
And I'll let you know if I'll answer.
Okay.
Comfort zones are just that. They're comfortable. You want to stay in that comfort zone. You want to be comfortable. And one thing that Simone did was she pushed him way out of that zone and made him uncomfortable in that moment. It was reflected in his body language, how he was, you could see him becoming more assertive, more aggressive, if you will, in his answers to the questions, because dude just wasn't comfortable. Now, therapy is uncomfortable, and that's something that Edwin has said. Well, I went once or twice. You have got to go through the discomfort of going into your past, and that's something that I don't think Edwin has done. And also, Simone's questions reveal some red flags about both of them. Simone can be, a little bit pushy and intrusive. However, for her, the red flags that I think that she saw regarding Edwin was the fact that he had some unresolved issues, especially dealing with his father, but also just coming up in general. So for both of them, Simone's questions, show that, hey, there's something here. Let's be aware of it. And I really think that it opened up, and it was a good thing.
So you'd be cool with being a stepmom? You would look forward to being a bonus mom?
A bonus
stepmom
mom,
kind of
right.
sounds old-fashioned.
Right, exactly. I grew up like pretty much only child. My dad has his.
Right,
Right.
we're similar in that regard.
Right, exactly.
I wanted like a big brother or a little brother
Right.
that could protect, and we go to the basketball court and beat everybody
Yes,
all day long
exactly.
and never lose a game.
Yes.
And then they talk about the Floyd brothers, man, they be killing
That's
it.
exactly how I want it to be. The conversation is just so.
So what we just saw was, it's actually something kind of rare when it comes to Rashid, but what we saw was the exact opposite of Simone, in that he asked Adriana a question, and it was actually a damn good question, especially if you have a child and the person that you're interested in does not. You want to know how that person feels about, stepchildren and co-parenting. Well, in that case, it's not co-parent, but being a step parent. It was a great question. However, what Rashid did in that moment was, Adriana started to answer the question, but he jumped in, stepped on Adriana, and then he started talking about his, giving his thoughts and feelings about, when it comes to being a parent, et cetera, et cetera. That is not a good look on his part because, and if you think about it, dude normally does, he asks a question, then he sits back and listens to the answer. But in this case, and I guess it's because he did say he's very passionate about kids, more especially his kids. So I can kind of sort of give him a little grace in that particular thing because when you amped up about something, yeah, you just gonna jump in. It's kind of like, that double dutch thing, right? You want to jump in there and do your thing, but you still have got to allow that person the space and the grace to answer your question because their answer reveals a lot about them. And if you don't let the answer play itself out, you're going to miss an opportunity to learn about that person, which is then going to slow down your growth in growing together.
Yes or no?
Right, for real.
Right.
And then he still won't say the answer.
I set the tone last night. He said stronger or weaker. I said streaker.
Anytime an educated man make up a word, he full of
I be trying to answer the questions.
No, you don't. That boy be going all the way around him.
Tommy will look at all of us like, really? Like, do y'all deal with this every day?
Y'all gotta have my back.
Can we be trying to have his back? We was like,
I know I say this every review, but y'all, that house is way too small for bad behavior. Now, in all comedy, there's truth. And Nephew Tommy, he is a comedian. He gave voice to what a lot of the dudes were feeling in that Brian can sometimes, he talks a lot but don't say nothing. So that's why you notice all of the dudes were clowning him. Now Brian tried to mitigate it by jumping in with his own joke. I've seen that too many times. That's when somebody's getting just roasted. They want to try and turn the heat down, but no, the reality is everything that those dudes were saying was true. And I've said it. That house is too small. They're either gonna have all the guys together talking, all the women are together talking, or all of them are in a group talking like we saw there, where they're at the table. And you best believe that the people that you're interested in, they hear this. They know that, okay, if the dudes are saying this about you, I know this about you, then yeah, there's got to be some truth in it. And like I said, in all comedy, there's truth.
I actually really like the fact that you were divorced, because not only were you divorced first, you were married for 10 years.
Right.
So that says that was an intentional choice.
I like marriage. I feel at my best.
Oh, that was another thing I liked about you.
I've been married and about to do it again. And I agree I really do agree with Rashid on this one. I know exactly where he's coming from. I personally like being married. I like not just the institution and the convenience of it, but it's just something relaxing about knowing that you made a choice as a man to, hey, will you marry me? And they accepted that. It's just something about it. And if it's going good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. That's why, like I said, I was married before I'm about to begin, but I definitely feel where Rashid is coming from on this one.
Like, you guys who do want to remarry are so intentional.
Yeah.
And you ask the questions you never asked.
I see your rationale. I was like, okay, because he's been through something. He's made some mistakes and know, hopefully, what not to do again. And then you can get the reformed man.
Yes, that's what I want.
Once again, Simone's questions really are starting to make more sense because the more we walk along with them as on their individual journeys, we learn more about those people. Like I said, Simone and her relationship with her father coming up and how it impacted her. But as she's talking more in detail now to Rashid, where she's talking about the fact that she wants to see that a man has bumped his head, if you will, but got back up and learned from that. He grew from as a person, from the mistakes that he made, and has come out on the other side as a better man. So that's why the only way you can really dig in, get to have the knowledge, I guess, as far as what that person's been through, is asking those tough questions and then gauging, their responses into what it is that you are personally looking for. Y'all, that's what dating with a purpose is about.
I want the one that the other woman done, she done took him to the finish line, and he missed the field goal.
Oh.
See? I'm going to work with you. Now we're going to get this field goal. We're going to win.
That's up.
I have heard that from a lot of women, that they don't want to leave a man that they have been walking with and fighting with and battling with and building up to the point that right at there on the threshold, the precipice, if you will, of success, they leave him or he leaves them and then gets with another woman, and that woman reaps the benefit of all of the work that she has put in. So what they instead do is they stay with a person, with a man that is not, you know, healthy for them. The relationship is not healthy. The situation is just not good. But instead of saying, all right, you know what, the hell with this, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm done, they instead stay in that situation because they don't want to give another woman the pleasure of having the finished product, you know, the more refined product. That's not a good look. It's not a healthy thing to go through, because you're in a bad relationship. You know it's a bad relationship. You just want to hold on to it.
I came out here this morning and just kind of looking out here like it was mist all over the clouds.
Oh, wow.
I was up at 6:30, but I was almost like I was feeling this heaviness. I can't explain it. I don't know where it came from. And I just literally took the time to lift my hands up to the heavens, take some deep breaths, and release some things. And I broke down.
So today, and we're just going to assume it's the next day. Once again, reality show editing could probably be the same day for all what we know. But based on how they put the show together, we know that the day prior, he had some hard questions that, you know, Simone was asking him. And that, based on what he's saying, that caused him to go home and really reevaluate a lot of things, to the point where he's throwing away, you know, he's not wearing his dog tags and so forth and so on. It seems like it's a lot of, I don't use the word manipulation, but it's a lot going on in that interaction between him and Joy. And whether he wants to admit it or not, it seems that all of that was triggered from the questions that Simone was asking him.
You know, I'm working on it. It's just a work in progress, and it just takes time to...
That's the part that's important.
Yeah.
Because we can continue to push things aside and say, well, I'm okay, I'm just pushing through it. But pushing through it is not healing. I've done a lot of work to heal from past traumas and pain and what have you. And so I'm ready to be whole for the person that comes into my life. And so I want that person to be whole too.
Every review I talk about the importance of therapy and getting that therapy and healing yourself. And that's what Joy just referenced right there. She spoke about her past relationship and all of the stuff that she went through, and the fact that she fixed herself. She went, got the help that she needed in order to go through the issues that she had in order to be ready to love. You cannot move forward with with new relationships if you do not fix the baggage that you're bringing with you from the old relationships. And when I old relationships, I'm not just talking about the people that you dated. I'm talking about you go all the way back to childhood, you know, and if you don't address each and every one of those things in your life, because this takes you here, that takes you there, this takes you there, you know, it's a flow chart. If yes, then here. If no, then there. And by the time you look at it, you're all the way over there. You done went way to the other side and way left, you know, if you don't fix those things. And that's exactly what Joy is referencing right there.
You know what? You're a phenomenal woman. You know, you have this sincere and genuine heart just to want to see me, you know, be better, do better.
Well, thank you.
I don't know what it is, but my BS detector is just, it's twitching when it comes to Edwin. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but it's just something there. I don't know.
Surprise!
Like a surprise.
What's happening, bro? Everything good? You do, you all right? Good? Well, every time I see you, you got my girl with you, bro. We have to have a whole conversation.
Anthony doesn't fight hard enough. I mean, you don't have to fight, but it would be great if Anthony said, no, I'm talking to Winter right now. But he doesn't do that.
See you later.
Sure. All right, bro. Y'all be easy.
Yes, sir.
Yo, that was pure man shit right there, boy. Jay just walked up on and flexed his muscles hard by, you know, and don't get me wrong, Jay obviously is no fool. Now, he had the conversation with Winter it might have been the last episode prior, I'm not sure. But he was, you know, where she's like, yo, I want you to fight for me. Now, that's something that she has said repeatedly. She wants somebody to fight for her. Okay, so Jay did just that. He walked up like, hey, man, every time I see you with my girl, he said, my girl, to this other dude. And this dude, that was Anthony's opportunity to be like, I don't know, she ain't your girl yet, or something. Something could have and should have been said in that moment. You say it with a smile so that way y'all ain't, breaking down or whatever, but you still got to say something. And Jay chumped Anthony off hard in that moment. I was laughing every time I think of that because so much was said, so much was unsaid, but so much was spoken in how Jay handled that situation, both with Winter and with Anthony. Oh, brilliant.
Well, I see you with Denise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a strong connection for you? Because you know I'm upfront about my connections.
Correct. And yes, I mean, it's pretty much between y'all two right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all making this hard. Right now,
It's not what you say, but how you say it. And Anthony does not speak with confidence. Now, I'm not saying that you go in there and all this bravado and bluster. I am not saying none of that dumb you don't, it's not all that loud talking BS. No, the dudes that handle the business, they don't be doing all that talking. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, how, let's contrast two things. Like, for instance, what Anthony just said was, quote, I mean, it's pretty much between y'all two, comma, right now. Okay. So I mean, pretty much right now. Those are 4 qualifiers. When you add qualifiers to stuff, that means what you're doing is you're taking away from the definitive nature of your sentence and you're adding different ways out. That's not a confident way of speaking. Now let's contrast that to what Jay did. He walked up and he's like, "Yo, why every time I see y'all is with my girl?" He didn't say, "Well, why every time I see y'all is with the lady that I sure would like to have as my girl, maybe if things go okay and the sun's shining properly and Jupiter is aligned with Venus as he dunks on." No, there's a difference, and that I think is the issue that Winter is talking about as far as fighting for her. You have to be more assertive in how you speak because it starts from what you say, but also in how you carry yourself as well.
they haven't jumped off the cliff of love yet, just jumped off because, like you said, it's there. It's just like
You get to the corner and then you backtrack.
But I definitely feeling that vibe with you, and it's just you make me smile. You make me smile. You do. So
Thank you.
I don't think Anthony is necessarily intimidated by Winter, but he's definitely very timid in his approach. We kind of saw that when he put his hand on her, but then kind of pulled it back. I'm not sure, but I think that Winter, who's very intuitive. We've seen that when in the conversation that she had with Brian on the boat, and there are different conversations that we have, and there's a certain her nature. She's very intuitive. She's picking up on certain things that they're putting down. So the same goes with her interaction with Anthony. I think that she knows this, and it shows in the things that she says and the conversations that they have. Now, she's said both to Jay and to Andy that she wants someone to fight for her. That doesn't necessarily mean that we get all up in fisticuffs. And I just love the word fisticuffs, by the way. I don't think that she's saying that, get out there and start fighting dudes in order to let her Winter know that you're attracted to her or whatever. I don't think she's saying that. But what I am saying is that I think that she wants a more assertive man who will fight for her and who knows, even actually fight her sometimes because, and once again, not in a physical sense, but the assertive nature or an assertive man, I think, is what she's looking for.
So share with me, what are your reservations as far in general with a relationship?
I just feel like you don't allow me to speak a lot of the times. Like you do most of the talking. You joke a lot. Like when I'm in the middle of talking, you deflect with jokes.
So you don't want me to make you smile?
I do. See, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Why do you do that?
I think that's more charming than I mean well.
I'm actually I love to laugh. I love to joke around. But when we're having a serious conversation, let me get my thoughts out before you joke.
One thing's for sure, Brian cannot say that Alex did not tell him what she was looking for, because on multiple occasions, she has voiced her concerns about him not listening. And once again, dude is not listening and instead wants to crack jokes. He just does not listen.
Domestic violence, and I was talking about that on the couch.
Yeah.
And for me to even have
opened up to you about that, and you just still didn't even take an initiative to even try to understand the situation or what I was trying to say. That was another reason why I was just like, are you ever gonna listen to me just to see who I am?
Can I talk, Massa?
Oh, don't you
Massa,
dare.
can I talk, Massa?
Don't you dare.
Bruh, Massa? Whew. Brian does not like to be called out on his bad behavior. And if you go back to both when he was getting it handed to him, both by Denise and by, what's her name, Alicia, you could see that he doesn't like to be the bad guy. So what he tries to do then is to, by cracking jokes or doing whatever, it shows an immaturity, yes, but it also, if he gets that person to laugh, then how can you laugh at the bad guy?
Have you ever, like, truly been in love before?
Once.
One time.
But I think it was different because I was a lot younger. I was probably like 20, 21.
So you've never been in love as an adult
Yeah.
in your adult life?
Yeah.
Why do you feel like you haven't been in love in your adult life yet?
I was in a state where I just wasn't being very intentional, and I was just having what I thought to be fun. I was just acting up, like just doing me, saving the world.
So the question was, when was the last time you were in love? And Brian's answer is maybe when he was 20 or 21, only been in love one time. So that's 15 years, right? And also that touches on what the questions that Simone was asking, and what she was saying as far as seeing how a man or just a person in general, how they have grown. We've all been through tough stuff in life. Life happens, and when life punches you in the mouth, how do you grow? How do you learn? How do you mature? And in 15 years, Brian, based on his answer, hasn't demonstrated that he has grown or matured, because to only be in love one time in 15 years, something just ain't adding up.
Back to you because I know we have eliminations coming up today, and I just wanted to let you know you're still in my top.
I'm extremely nervous about being sent home today. I haven't even had a chance to explore all of the relationships that I can see that are budding.
I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're gorgeous, but I've just been trying to pursue and put my energy into those that I feel like have been showing a genuine interest towards me. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
I've said it before, y'all. Men hunt, okay? A lion does not want a gazelle to just lay down, or better yet, just go jump in its mouth talking about, eat me. No. Men hunt. That's just how we are. We want to pursue the prey, and if we're not pursuing you, that means that you just ain't what we want.
You feel my energy is weird today. It's just I'm just nervous. I'm here to get to know more about you and Rashid.
And we'll see if you be consistent.
I want the chance. Give me a chance to be consistent.
Okay. The men know that it's elimination day is either that day or around the corner. So it's ultimately just not attractive at all that Simone is like, hey, what's going on? No, they've been on there for ostensibly 8 weeks now. If you haven't developed any type of connection between anyone on the show, at this point, it's too little too late. And how she's going about it now, trying to approach the men, quite honestly, is just not attractive.
Anybody that you are very compatible to or with?
Man, Denise and then Winter. They both got their own uniqueness. I mean, they both beautiful, intelligent. I mean, they make me smile, they make me laugh. I mean, they both just,
Well, you got to pick one and let one go now.
I know that. I do know that, and that's the tough part,
This is not a polygamy show.
I know.
A polygamy show, I would watch that. I would really watch that, because instead of it being, two people trying to find love, it's three. So you have, okay, dude, or woman connects with one guy, and then, dude connects with one woman, and then, okay, there's a third, but the third doesn't connect with that would be some drama-filled stuff. I would actually watch that show, right? In fact, that'd be a great topic for my Markland Mondays. We're going to talk about that.
Remember when we was in the lounge, we was talking, Cal Fighting was talking about the whole possessiveness. Does that do anything to you?
I really haven't gotten that from Denise, really. So
and that's just different people draw different things out of different people. Let me tell you this: every woman wants to be chosen.
That's exactly what Winter was talking about. You know, you have to fight, and Tommy is exactly right. You know, certain people do draw out certain things within you. You know, there's a different. You act differently in different circumstances. That doesn't mean you're a different person. That just means that you're carrying yourself differently based on the environment that you're in. And when it comes to dating, there's certain things that certain people do. You know, I referenced it before, where you have Sierra. She was a certain way when she was with what's my boy's name, Future, but now that she's, you know, married to Russell Wilson, it's night and day the difference. That doesn't mean that she's a new person or she's acting fake. You grow, you develop, but also certain people draw certain behavior out of you, be it good or bad.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
I don't know. Just want to, you know, just come holler at you. I know you got a couple people you've been in too, but I'm baffled, as they say.
Really?
Oh, I really am. Like, seriously. Like, y'all have just shown me, you know, the things that I like. Y'all both just like, you know, supportive.
No, I don't.
So you have her alone, and based on their positioning, you actually have her cornered because she's in the corner of the bar. You're standing in front of her, so you have her undivided attention. It's essentially, and you then bring up another woman. You bring basically somebody who's not there. You bring them into your conversation. That's not a good look, and damn sure not off to a good start when it comes to that conversation. Now, look at how Rashid handled that. Remember what I said? Whoever he's with, whoever's in front of, whichever lady he's on a date or an interaction with, he's focused on them. Now, yes, he has a, you know, Adriana is his number one. That's who, you know, he would rather be with, or, you know, his ultimate choice. But in the dates that he had with Simone and what's the other lady's name? Anyway, in those dates, Alex, in those dates, they were his focus. His attention was on them, and he gave them his undivided attention. He wasn't on a date with Alex talking about Adriana. He wasn't on a date with Simone talking about Alex. Right here, what you have with what's his name, Anthony, talking to Winter. Why are you bringing Denise into that conversation? No, don't do that.
I don't want to hear about anyone else but me.
I
Just me
got you.
right now.
I got you. Well, you are supportive, okay? And I'm really like stuck, like on what I want to do.
It sucks to hear that you're stuck.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's.
Boy, Winter got my man talking like this.
That you had you want.
A part of me thinks that Winter is kind of toying with Anthony a little bit, and I'm not saying that she's being malicious with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that she's, you know, doing that, but it's kind of like let's go all the way back to high school. All right, you know how you have the cheerleader that's the, you know, the homecoming queen, all that good stuff, and then you got a freshman who, you know, just barely getting into adolescence trying to approach her. It's that vibe that I'm getting, where it's not necessarily that she's out of his league. I'm not saying that. However, is the way they interact, it seems like she's always in control, the more dominant one in their conversation, and Anthony's just floundering, trying to keep up with her energy, trying to match her, and it's just funny to watch.
I don't know if you like are very assertive with me. Like sometimes you gotta be telling people like no, guys and girls.
I understand what you're saying about being a little bit more assertive, you know what I mean? But when I see another man speaking with you or whatever, I don't want to be that person coming up, oh, hey, bro, can I talk to her for a few minutes?
I wouldn't mind if you did. I mean, I know it's gonna put you in some uncomfortable situations, but I feel like it's worth it for what we could be.
I kind of understand what Winter's saying when she's talking about, you know, just walk up and be like, hey, you know, come holler at me. However, that's dangerous, and not in the sense that the two guys are going to erupt, you know, fisticuffs. What I'm saying is it's dangerous for the guy that walks up, because it's putting that dude in a very, very bad position. In that, one, if he walks up to the woman and say, hey, let me talk to you, the woman can then be like, nah, I'll talk to you later. I'm here now. All right. That's embarrassing for him. He looks like a damn fool. Or he walks up to her and says, hey, let me holler at you. The dude's like, nah, bro, you see she's with me, back your ass on. Once again, it's not it's a dangerous, embarrassing situation for that man to be in. So I get it. You want him to assert himself. However, that's not necessarily the most realistic approach, especially when you're dealing with adults. Now, maybe a kid may come up and do some mess like that, but a grown man is not necessarily going to, approach it that way or in that manner.
Here's what I can tell you.
Okay.
If a man wants to change because he loves you that much, he will.
He will, yeah.
It all boils down to that.
Boy, that dude's spitting right there, because Tommy's preaching, y'all. If you want something as a man, you're going to make adjustments to get it. If I want to work for a certain company, but in order for me to get started with that company, I got to work a night shift or something like that, or I have to go and work in one of the backwoods offices somewhere, and then I get promoted or transferred to a better office or whatever the case may be. You make that adjustment. All right. So in the case of Alex and Brian, if you want to be with her, you make the changes within yourself. You grow, you mature, you listen to what the hell it is that she's saying, and you make those adjustments accordingly, because that's who you want to be with. You can't have it your way and expect her to fall in line. Nah, you got to make the move to go towards her. Comes towards you, and you guys work together. That's not what Brian has demonstrated, but that's exactly what Nephew's talking about. Nephew Tommy's talking about. If you want something, you make the adjustments to get it.
Jay, pass me a drink, bro.
Compatibility.
Joy and winner.
Edwin. Joy is still such a dynamic force that it really requires you to sit down and really process it all.
I cannot put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but there is just something about Edwin that just ain't right.
Compatible with.
It would have to be Denise.
Denise is the homie, though. She asks you a question, she look you in the eyes like you can't lie. And y'all know I be trying to finesse my way out of stuff. And I can't. Denise like, and I'm like.
Brian just said a whole lot of truths about himself right there. He said that he can't lie, not just to Denise. I mean, Denise is the one that catches him on his BS, but whether he wants to call it a lie, a finesse, or whatever the case may be, the fact of the matter is he is aware that it's bad behavior. He just chooses not to correct it, not to do the right thing. And that is the main issue that I have with the dude. He seems like a cool enough dude. I don't know the brother. I'm just going obviously off this TV show. But it's like, bro, if you know that that's not what you should be doing, you know it's bad behavior, correct it. Don't wait until you're challenged. Like,
Brian, you are not ready to love.
One woman that is just not ready to love right now within that process is Simone.
This episode's a little bit different. Instead of it being a one-on-one conversation where a particular person's journey comes to an end, instead they're basically called out by the entire group. So with that being said, we see now that the group of 12 has been whittled down because Brian's journey has come to an end along with Simone. Both of them are going home. So that leaves us with 10. We have 5 guys. Oh, math. We have 5 guys and 5 women. From what we see next week's previews, once again, it looks like it's going to be another good episode. So I am definitely going to be tuned in. And make sure you join me. Follow me on Twitter, because I do live tweet during the show. And as I mentioned earlier in this particular review, I am going to be restarting my podcast, the Markland Mondays. And that's where we talk about relationships and just different topics as it deals with, adult relationships. I do have a channel, it's on my channel, excuse me. I do have videos, a playlist rather, that you can watch. So make sure to just watch those. And like I said, we're going to be starting that back up probably once this season of Ready to Love ends. But as always, y'all, please make sure you follow me on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and of course, Twitter. And y'all stay determined. I will see y'all next week.